Yeah. Yeah. Minute back.
10 o'clock.
After it says 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
But 10 o'clock now.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you are participating by Zoom or online and you wish to speak, if you'll use the raise the hand function so that the staff can turn you on, you need to be visible to participate. And also state your name and address for the record, please.
And Mr. Chair, there's a microphone button in front of you, the green button, if you would push that, please.
Can you hear now? That's good. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, motion approving the minutes of the February 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Midland Development Corporation. Is there any public comments? Any discussion from the board? I'll entertain a motion for approval. So
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll have a presentation from the University of Texas Permian Basin Office of Innovation and Commercialization. Brian Shedd, and I don't know, see Brian Shedd here. He's gonna be online, I guess.
He's on his way. If we could possibly move to item number 5 to give him a few more minutes to get here, please.
Let's do that. We'll skip 3 and 4 for now and return to it. Item number 5. Resolution authorizing the execution of a lease agreement with Firehawk Aerospace, Inc. for certain real property described as an 18.69 acre tract of land out of section 33, block 40, township 1 South T&P Railroad Company Survey, Midland, Texas. The agreement provides for a 24-month lease of MDC-owned property west of Midland. Firehawk plans to expand their activities in Midland on the property. Kevin Lapp, Firehawk's engineer and infrastructure manager, will be at the meeting. Anything you'd like to say, Kevin?
Excited for the opportunity to have a larger presence here in Midland. It's been a great 2 years working with all of you, and we have a couple big projects coming down the pipeline where we're looking to really expand and bring more jobs here, and looking forward to the opportunity.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Any further discussion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I need to make you aware I'm accusing myself through a professional relationship with Firehawk.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, I'll call for a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now we'll back up to item number 3. Presentation from the University of Texas Permian Basin Office of Innovation and Commercialization. Brian Shedd. Thank you, Brian.
Hello. Sorry, I missed later went to the old location. So thank you for giving me the update. Yeah, I just have a few slides, but really just wanted to provide board with an update on what we've been doing at the seed and at GTPD. So
Brian, would you
just-
mind coming up here?
oh yeah, oh for sure, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so Brian Shedd with the Office of Innovation and Commercialization at the University of Texas Permian Basin. So for a little background here, I'm sure you all are aware, in 2017, MDC UTPB entered into an incubator and makerspace grant agreement to support a few different things. One was the build out of the third floor of the engineering building. So there's 3 million provided under that agreement. For that purpose, the UTPB engineering building was completed in 2019. It's a 3-story building, covers over 105,000 square feet, cost $55 million total. It houses all the engineering programs, so mechanical on the first floor, petroleum engineering on the second floor, and electrical and chemical on the third floor. And the newly announced civil engineering department will be placed throughout the building, wherever there's space for them. Additionally, there was money, $2 million provided for the development of a business incubator and a makerspace at the Center for Energy and Economic Diversification, the SEED building. So I'll cover some of the details on that business incubator and makerspace. It also provided ongoing salary support of $200,000 a year. The SEED renovation was started in 2021 and was completed in 2024. And the next slide, I have just some pictures of some of the spaces that were renovated at the SEED building. SEED building's about 30,000 square feet. It's been a few different things over its lifetime at the University of Texas Permian Basin. Was first built in 91, I believe. And it was the home for engineering before they got their building. In its first life, it was really a professional services facility. So kind of served the petroleum industry, hence the name. And this latest renovation was really to transform the building into an innovation space. So a place where the academic labs and classrooms can merge with industry to work on projects and commercialization of research and education technology taking place at the university. So some of the spaces that we have in the building in the top left, I'll kind of go clockwise, is the discovery classroom. So we don't have any academic units in the SEED building, but we do have some classroom use there from music, which is housed at the Wagner Noel, and then also engineering, both of which are located on the Midland campus there, right at 191 and 1788. The middle top picture, that's our laboratory facility. So this is not intended for academic use. It's set aside for industry use, so we can rent out those benches to industry. Right now, all of our lease contracts are managed by UT System Real Estate. So we're just waiting on their final approval on that lease agreement so we can provide that lab space. But it's great space. We've got a shared fume hood there. And it's good for chemical materials, biological research, but a great facility. Top right is the co-working room. So that seats 8. We do memberships there for $100 a month, gets you into the building, gets you access to all the amenities that our tenants get. I'll go through what some of those are in a minute. The prototype lab, that's our makerspace. The middle bottom, that is the auditorium. And the atrium, which is right next to that. Next slide. There's our website. If you want to get any of this information, you can do so off of the website. And we have links to a lot of the useful information there about the classrooms, about the event space, also about the laboratories we have. Next slide. One thing I wanted to mention, one of our tenants, actually the longest running tenant in the building, is the Small Business Development Center. So these are some of their statistics here of the last few years. Pretty impressive. They serve 16 counties. More than half of these stats are actually from Midland. They're the largest market by far for the Small Business Development Center. But they provide a range of resources for small businesses in the region. And they are a regional service center. They're federally funded, and they're kind of headquartered. Their Northwest region is headquartered up in Lubbock. But our office here at UTPB, one of the most active in the state. And they received an SBA Excellence and Innovation Award in 2024 for Region 6, which covers Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Next slide. A couple things that we've just added. Is that for me? Okay, I got some more time. Okay. Okay. A couple things we just added, which are pretty exciting, is we now have 2 representatives in the SEED building next to the SBDC. So one is from the U.S. Commercial Service, They're part of the Department of Commerce, but they provide assistance to businesses for importing and exporting, just tapping into international markets. So how can companies here access foreign markets, either for imports or exports? So we have now a representative full-time who's housed at the Seed Building and serves the whole region in that capacity. We've also got a representative from the Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center, which is located headquartered up in Lubbock at Texas Tech. But we now have a representative here as well, which is great. So they provide support to all kinds of manufacturing companies locally to help them expand. They provide Six Sigma training for businesses as well. But you know, it's a fantastic resource. Again, it's regional. So the SBDC, the TMAC, the U.S. Commercial Service, these are all resources that are based here in Midland and are bringing companies from across the region here locally to receive this coaching and counseling. So it's a great resource, and you know, we're really happy to house that at the Seed Building. A couple of events that we run at the Seed, just to give you an idea of some of the programming that we offer there. So the Midland Entrepreneurial Challenge, we're currently in our 7th year of holding this event for Midland, and thanks to MDC for the support that we received to run that program. It's been a very successful program. The last 2 years, we've been oversubscribed. So we've had 50 businesses, more than 50 businesses apply, but we cap it at 50 businesses into the program. We're having our final award ceremony tonight, so no spoilers for me, but we're very excited to have that event. And like I said, it's really got quite the reputation. We actually started filling up our registration spots for orientation this year before the marketing even went live. So people know about this event. We have all of the seminars at the Seed Building in the auditorium, and then we're holding the award ceremony at the Wagner Noel just next door. So we are also one of the locations for Founders Blend, which is another collaborative program that we work alongside MDC on. And there's several other organizations that partner on that event. The location kind of rotates through those different facilities, but it is an entrepreneurial network. So it just brings together entrepreneurs. We have usually 2 businesses present each month to kind of tell their story. And then it's really a networking opportunity just to get entrepreneurs working and supporting other entrepreneurs. All right, next slide. So now I'm going to get into some of the specifics on the incubator. So our incubator comprises a suite in the back of the Seed Building. We have 6 private offices that we can lease out. You can see some of the pictures there on the side. So we have up in the top there is a waiting room that we have. We have a conference room for our tenants and the private offices, like I mentioned, also a mailroom, copy room. So one of the nice things is the building tenants get use of the building address. So that's a great resource for our co-working businesses as well. They get access to all these same amenities. We have priority industry categories that we look to fill and find companies from those spaces first. Energy, water, space, and aerospace, those are kind of the key industries that we look to support here. We also try to find companies that have a strategic fit with UTPB or the region. So for example, one of the companies, kind of a twofer, but Astroport Space Technologies and WEX Foundation, they're kind of a nonprofit and for-profit, sister organizations. But WEX Foundation received a NASA grant that UTPB is working on with them to bring kind of space education to some of our schools locally. So we try to find companies that have that kind of a fit. We have a relationship with all of our tenants right now, and I'm happy to say that we're fully occupied as of last month. So we've had a lot of demand for the office space, but again, we want to try to find companies that have this fit with both the university and the region.
So it's on the side of nonprofits were more important than for-profits?
We don't specify, we don't have a rule about whether nonprofits or for-profits can get into the building. The Permian Road Safety Coalition and WEX Foundation are both nonprofits. That we let into the building, and there's a strategic fit there for us.
For you, but not for the mission of what this was for, correct? Because when I was actually here when this was done, this was for entrepreneurs and to innovation and to bring things, not for nonprofits to get a cheap place to go do office space. And we've got shared spaces in other places in this community where this could be left open for entrepreneurs and businesses that need office space over nonprofits that have a different revenue source than for-profit.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we recognize that, you know, there is a difference between nonprofits and for-profits. Like I mentioned, I think these nonprofits do serve a real vital role here. And there's a strong reason for us to have them at the seed building.
I would disagree,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Okay. Next slide. This is just a layout of the office spaces that we have. Again, the rent rates, and the lease agreements are all set by UT System Real Estate. But you can see, you know, they are affordable spaces, but are comparable with office space in the region is how UT System goes about setting those rates. The amenities are listed there on the right, which, you know, like I said, I think cover the basic kind of office requirements. We do leases for about anywhere from 6 months to a year with the option to renew. But you know, we are looking at new tenants continually. Next slide. All right, so this is our makerspace. So the other half of kind of the agreement that we had that we have with NBC is to develop this makerspace. We've actually got 2 makerspaces on campus. We have one at the library on the main campus as well. And then this is the prototype lab makerspace that's housed at the seat building in Midland. You can go to the next slide. The makerspace opened in February of 2024. All the rules, memberships, and orientation, it is open to the community. So we do community memberships for $25 a month, just gets you in the door. We train you on all the equipment. It's a DIY shop. So once you learn the equipment, you're free to come in and use it as you need. We've had over 120 individuals receiving orientation. So the majority of those are students, but you can see we do have some faculty, staff, and non-UTPB community members in that list as well. Some of the equipment that we have in there is on the next slide. So the basic kind of makerspace equipment, we've got 3D printers in there from 2 different manufacturers, Wallspot and then Bamboo Lab, or some of the new 3D printers that we just purchased about a month ago. We've got 3D scanners from PL3D, a laser cutter engraver from Epilogue Laser is actually a dual source laser, so we can do everything from textiles all the way up to stainless steels. And we have a Cricut machine for doing vinyl and paper cutting, and then also a 10-thread embroidery machine. And if you could go back one slide, I was going to just point out those pictures there are actually some of the students that have done projects in the makerspace. Julian with Falcon Racing is up there in the top right, was making some custom mugs for some of his members. And then the 3 students there in the middle were all capstone engineering programs that produce prototypes in the makerspace at the seed building. Okay, and then I've got a couple more highlights. So we did have some research taking place last summer with some students performing stress strain testing of 3D printed beams. So when you 3D print a part, it usually doesn't print completely solid. They use what they call infill to reduce the weight and print time of the part. And there's about 20 different kinds of infill patterns that you can use. So we had students that were actually 3D printing beams with different infill characteristics, and then doing stress strain testing of those in the Advanced Manufacturing Center. I'll talk about that in a minute, which is next door to the makerspace, but we have more advanced equipment in there. So we've actually had some research projects taking place in the makerspace, which we're excited about. And then the next slide, I mentioned Julian with Falcon Racing. So the Falcon Racing team is housed at the seed building in one of the laboratories in the back. They've built their full-scale race car prototype in the makerspace. All those joints, the orange joints that you see on the frame there, were printed in the makerspace on the 3D printers. So allows for very rapid prototyping and iteration on design projects. Next slide. The next thing that's kind of coming up is the Permian Basin Manufacturing Consortium. So this is something that we're just launching right now. I'm waiting on the final approval from UT System on the consortium agreements, but it's going to allow us to bring manufacturing businesses together in the region and work with them to provide training at the Seed Building, in the Makerspace, and the Advanced Manufacturing Center. Next slide. So we've got a few different events that are planned for the consortium. Our goal is to get, within this first year, probably 10 to 20 companies together. We've already gotten commitments from 3 companies, one of it which is actually going to be donating some equipment for us to finish out the Advanced Manufacturing Center. But we'll have daily events, weekly events, including training and maker nights, monthly events for networking, demoing new equipment that might be relevant to the manufacturing companies locally. And then our goal is to have a large annual event that would be a conference or a maker event where we can, again, highlight new equipment and just showcase some of the work that our local manufacturing companies are doing. Next slide. So the Advanced Manufacturing Center, like I mentioned, is not open in the same way that the Makerspace is. It's a laboratory, it's a university laboratory, but we do allow industrial work to take place there just by a contract. We have a lab manager there, so all of this equipment is maintained and operated by him. But we do have characterization equipment. So I mentioned these 2 Instron machines that allow us to do tensile and stress testing of materials. We have a variety of 3D printers there. We can even 3D print in metal. So we have a Mark Forged Metal X printer that allows us to 3D print in copper, steel, and some tool steel and Inconel. And then we also have some manufacturing equipment, including a plasma table, CNC router table, and a water jet. So I call it the Makerspace on steroids. It's really just where we have bigger toys that can do bigger, more advanced machining work. That's open to the university community, but it's also open to industry as well through kind of a contract basis. So we have hourly rates for all this equipment. It's set up on our website. We have kind of industry rates, partner rates for consortium members, and then academic rates for universities and other nonprofits to use. The next slide here, and I think this is one of my last. So we have some training programs that are going to be taking place through the consortium. So our goal is to have external trainings where we can provide certification for advanced manufacturing in the Advanced Manufacturing Center. We also want to provide student trainings there. In fact, we've got our first student cohort plan for this semester to offer micro-credentialing on machining technologies. The students will have opportunity to operate each one of these pieces of equipment. And so they will gain, training on how to actually conduct manufacturing. So they learn the design and prototyping in their classes, and then they can come into the lab and actually learn manufacturing equipment. And then we'll have some course integrations too, as well. So we'll be adding 1-hour lab components to computer-aided design, manufacturing materials, mechanics and materials science. So our faculty advisor, Professor Gahasian, just came to us from Auburn University, and he's really helping to kind of ramp up the course integrations with the manufacturing capacity that we have at the Seed Building now. So, that's the last slide I have. I really thank you all for your support, and welcome questions or tours anytime. My information is there. You can also find me on the website. Again, it's just utpd.edu/seed, CEED. I wanted to give you a good overview of what we've done specific to the incubator and the makerspace, but then also just more context about what we're doing at the Seed Building as a whole, because it really is a great resource for the community and for small businesses in our region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any public comment? Any discussion, questions from the board? Good. We on to item number 4. Resolution authorizing payment in the amount of $103,815.46 to the University of Texas Permian Basin pursuant to that certain incubator and makerspace grant agreement between the Midland Development Corporation and the University of Texas of the Permian Basin. This approves reimbursement for a portion of the NDC's annual $200,000 commitment to the incubator makerspace at the UTB Seed Building on the Midland campus. The term of agreement ends in 2037. Do we have any public comment? Any discussion from the board? I'll call for a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6. Resolution authorizing signatories on Midland Development Corporation's bank accounts. MDC's bank signature card is updated with all board changes. Authorization signatures include all board members and the executive director. Any check over $2,500 requires 2 signatures. Any employee's reimbursement over $500 requires 2 signatures. Any public comment? Any discussion from the board? Call for motion.
So moved.
Second. A motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item 7, presentation of the February 2025 monthly expenses and economic development activity report from the Midland Development Corporation Executive Director and staff. Sir, thank you.
Good morning, board. I want to draw your attention to the sales tax receipts for the MDC. They are slightly down, mostly flat year over year for February collections, which result from December 2024 sales. Right now, we continue to be about 20% above budget for the year, which would put us on track to collect $16.8 million this fiscal year. The next month report should be released next week on Wednesday from the comptroller. On your financial statements, there's not a lot of expenditures to note this year, aside from prior year committed incentives, line 53909. You'll see that's $287,000. That is payments for invoices associated with design on widening of State Highway 158 under MDC's agreement with Kimley Horn to provide design work to TxDOT specifications. So those plans continue to move forward. I don't have comments aside from that, but I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have on the financial statements. As to other updates, as Mr. Shedd mentioned, the Entrepreneurial Challenge Award event will be this evening at the Wagner Noel Ray Greathouse Recital Hall. You're all invited to join. That has been posted for a forum, so all of you please join. It's always great to see these small businesses that are recipients of the Entrepreneurial Challenge. I'll hand it off to Gabby.
Hello. Okay. Wrong way. So sorry. On business retention and engagement this month, what we learned from the businesses that I met with, something I was surprised with my very first business visit was where the spaceport is spreading. I expected to kind of go into the conversation sharing about the activities that we have going on with the aerospace companies here. And he was like, oh yeah, no, we've been keeping up with it in the MRT. We're following already on Facebook. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was really awesome to hear. We just will continue to spread the word just in our own networks and on these visits. Another thing I heard this month was creative employee retention. There are concerns about losing workforce to the oil field, especially if another boom is on the horizon. While businesses increases and presents more opportunities, these businesses lose good employees because they can't compete with hourly pay and overtime pay. Businesses are getting creative with retention tactics, that's thorough training, quick company advancement, benefits, etc. Another thing I heard this month was on our quality of life here in Midland. To quote this business, Midland has really turned a corner. While we have our wish list of what we'd like to see here in the community, these business owners are excited for our new projects that we have. So that's Costco, Lululemon, downtown Midland, etc. Moving over to Founders Blend. So we had our meeting in February that was actually at the seat. We had a great turnout and it was a good event hearing from those businesses. We're meeting this week on the 5th at the Cogdale Learning Center here in South Midland. We'll hear from Rig ID and Brothers Moving, and then Midland College BEDC and West Texas IT are taking care of our coffee and breakfast. Another event that we have coming up this month for Founders Blend, we're celebrating 2 years of Founders Blend, which is bonkers. And our first evening event, so we're staying up late. We'll be at Second Story Co-working, and that will be March 20th from 5 to 7. So we'd love to see y'all come. On the marketing end of things, Facebook really jumped this month with followers. We had a real have a lot of engagement. That was on a data point that was released this month on Midland is the most dynamic metro in the US. A lot of people disagree with that here in Midland, but that was sitting at 65,000 views this morning, so that count has increased. Our top post with impressions, if you've seen our content, our new board members, that performed really well. We had a post on NBC's ROI, which will also be featured in the annual report this month. And then the information we received from Texas Tech Health Sciences Center, we had a graphic about that, and that did well. Over on Instagram, about the same sort of thing, with top post, Flower Child Baked Goods, that announcement, along with the Texas Tech Health Sciences info, and then the BEDC and BAM Entrepreneurial Center are collaborating on an event for business owners. So we pushed that content to our circle on social media. LinkedIn also had a lot of growth over there with the top post. We had the new board members, which that worked to tag our new board members. And then NBC's ROI and the BEDC and BAM event. But yeah, that is what I have this month.
And Gabby mentioned this, but our annual report is finished, so that will be presented to the board next month, and we'll have it printed for use for the rest of the year.
Okay, thank you. It is now 10:30, and we will be retiring into the executive session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.101, the Board of Directors will hold an executive session which is closed to the public to discuss the following matters as permitted under the following Texas Government Code sections. Section 551.072, deliberations regarding real property. Discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. Discuss business prospects that the Midland Development Corporation seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in or near the city of Midland, Texas, and discuss possible incentives and discuss contract compliance on part of the businesses.
Could you please just read that as well?
Section 551.071, consultation with an attorney. Discuss a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the Midland Development Corporation under the Texas disciplinary rules and professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code.